Check it out, Ghostbusters for SEGA Genesis. If you've seen my review for the Master System version, you already know that I love me some Ghostbusters. Really, I was obsessed. I wore out 2 VHS tapes, bought all the toys, and the real Ghostbusters is still my favorite animated series. Anyway, Ghostbusters for the Sega Master System may underwhelm some players today, though I still enjoy it. I mean, it both looks and sounds like Ghostbusters. It's a fun game in spite of its flaws and deserves far more credit than what it receives. However, I will say this. The Sega Genesis version is better. Developed by Compile and released by Sega in 1990, it isn't a 16-bit remake of the classic film. Instead, it acts as a pseudo-sequel taking place sometime after the original. The famed ghost hunters, no, not those guys, I'm talking Ray, Egon, and Peter, are hurting for cash now that paranormal activity is at an all-time low. That may explain why Winston is curiously absent from these proceedings. I mean, it's like the man said, as long as there's a steady paycheck in it. You see, the Ghostbusters aren't racist, they just couldn't afford to pay him anymore. Mystery solved. What was I talking about? Oh, their luck begins to turn after an earthquake disrupts the citizens of New York, resulting in a radical influx of ectoplasmic assailants in need of busting. Believe it or not, there's actually a bit more to the narrative, which is refreshing. The dialogue is decent, and the story does an admirable job explaining the mystery of the earthquake, and even throws a twist our way. Good job! As you can see, Ghostbusters on Genesis is a side-scrolling platformer. You can play as either Peter, Ray, or Egon. Their stamina and speed varies, though our favorite game show host, scientist, is the balanced choice. This dynamic adds another level of challenge on top of the difficulty settings. We're presented with 4 levels: Home Sweet Home, the apartment, the Woody House, and a high-rise building. Once you've beaten them all, the castle is unlocked. There are 2 item shops, one for grub and one for gear. The health items are self-explanatory, but the items are cool. Some will simply juice your equipment, though you can buy bombs, 3-way shot, and night vision goggles. Now, you don't really need all this equipment, but I'd be lying if I told you it didn't help. For example, the Woody House is a hellish environment that's pitch black in spite of all these torches. Obviously it's playable, though goggles certainly ease your attention. The proton pack is an effective weapon, but the 3-way shot is an excellent upgrade for those more active apparitions. Like the 8-bit version, you'll need to earn cash either by raiding safes or busting mid-level bosses. Mind you, you don't have to bust the mid-level bosses. You can wander around, beat the main boss, and finish out a stage no problem. Still, taking them on will give you some much-needed bank. Besides, it's fun. Some bosses obviously draw their inspiration from the film, like the evil Wraith and Stay Puft. Others look like something straight from the animated series, such as the Snowman and the Centipede. The most intimidating, I feel, are Death and the Venus Death Trap. This big bitch, on the other hand, damn. The levels are almost maze-like, and there's plenty of stage hazards, ghoulies, tables, knives, and forks to avoid or destroy. You can walk, jump, swim, and climb your way through these haunted environments, finding money and overcoming obstacles. The amount of freedom given to the player is fantastic and draws you in further. That's why this game has stood the test of time, I feel. On the visual end, it's one of the better looking Genesis titles. Really, I feel like I'm in control of a really well-drawn cartoon. It's a perfect blend of creepy and cute, much like the movie. The music is badass. The Ghostbusters theme is present, of course, and it sounds terrific. The original score, however, really stands out. Ghostbusters on Sega Genesis is probably my favorite game based on these bozos that conveniently show up to deal with all our supernatural elimination needs. Yeah, I even like it more than the 2009 version. It's classic pick up and play fun that endures multiple sittings. Honestly, this is one of the most entertaining platformers I've ever played, and it's definitely worthy of the Ghostbusters name. If you have a Genesis and you don't have this game, get it. Now. Not later. Now. Right now.